All right. Genesis chapter 36. Genesis 36. I don't know how far, because we're going to read, looking into two different chapters today. And so we'll see how far we get tonight in it. When we read 36, we're going to read all of 36, and then I'll give you the thoughts that God has given to me on this particular chapter. Like I told you, I was 2 weeks ago. I said I don't know what I'm going to talk about, mention, because it's all about Esau. But God gave me a few things, so we'll look at it. And I was like, He gave me some stuff. So let's open in a word of prayer, and then we'll look into chapter 36. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to study your word and to see what you have for us out of it. God, I just ask for wisdom and direction. Fill my mouth with the words that you want to be said tonight. And may the folks be encouraged in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Genesis 36 says, Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, and Bashemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth, and Adah bare to Esau Eliphaz, and Bashemath bare Reuel, and Aholibamah bare Jeush, and Jaalim, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, which were born unto him in the land of Canaan. And Esau took his wives, and his sons, and his daughters, and all the persons of his house, and his cattle, and all his beasts, and all his substance which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob. For their riches were more than that they might dwell together, and the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau; Reuel, the son of Bashemath, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, and Gatam, and Kenaz. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. And these are the sons of Reuel, Nahath, and Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the sons of Bashemath, Esau's wife. And these were the sons of Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife. And she bare to Esau Jeush, and Jaalam, and Korah. These were the dukes of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau: Duke Teman, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, Duke Kenaz, Duke Korah, Duke Gatam, and Duke Amalek. These are the dukes that came of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Adah. And these are the sons of Reuel, Esau's son: Duke Nahath, Duke Zerah, Duke Shammah, Duke Mizah. These are the dukes that came of Reuel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Bashemath, Esau's wife. And these are the sons of Aholibamah, Esau's wife: Duke Jeush, Duke Jaalam, Duke Korah. These were the dukes that came of Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Esau, who is Edom, and these are their dukes. These are the sons of Seir, the Horite, who inhabited the land: Lotan, and Shobal, and Zibeon, and Anah, and Dishan, and Ezer, and Dishan. These are the dukes of the Horites, the children of Seir in the land of Edom. And the children of Lotan were Hori and Hemam, and Lotan's sister was Timnah. And the children of Shobal were these: Elvan, and Manahath, and Ebal, Shepho, and Onam. And these are the children of Zibeon, both Ajah and Anah. This was that Anah that found the mules in the wilderness, as she fed the asses of Zibeon his father. And the children of Anah were these: Dishan, and Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah. And these are the children of Dishan: Hemdan, and Eshban, and Ithran, and Kiran. The children of Ezer are these Bilhan and Zaavan and Achan. The children of Dishan are these Uz and Aaron. These are the dukes that came of the Horites: Duke Lotan, Duke Shobal, Duke Zibeon, Duke Anah, Duke Dishan, Duke Ezer, Duke Dishan. These are the dukes that came of Hori among their dukes in the land of Seir. And these are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom before there reigned any king over the children of Israel. And Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom, and the name of his city was Dinabah. And Bela died, and Jobab, the son of Zerah of Basra, reigned in his stead. And Jobab died, and Husham of the land of Temani reigned in his stead. And Husham died, and Hadad, the son of Bedad, who smote Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his stead, and the name of his city was Avith. And Hadad died, and Samlah of Masrekah reigned in his stead. And Samlah died, and Saul of Rehoboth by the river reigned in his stead. And Saul died, and Baal-Hanan, the son of Achbor, reigned in his stead. And Baal-Hanan, the son of Achbor, died, and Hadar reigned in his stead, and the name of his city was Payu, and his wife's name was Mehetabel, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. And these are the names of the dukes that came of Esau according to their families, after their places, by their names: Duke Timnah, Duke Alva, Duke Jetheth, Duke Aholabama, Duke Elah, Duke Pinon, Duke Kenaz, Duke Teman, Duke Mibzar, Duke Magdiel, Duke Iram. These be the dukes of Edom, according to their inhabitants in the land of their possessions. He is Esau, the father of the Edomites. Yes, a lot of mouthfuls there. So, Moses wrote the book of Genesis, right? So one of the things that caught my attention was this obviously goes past chapter 50 of Genesis. So we get a glimpse into what Esau's family did, even though this is, it's put here in chapter 36. God gives Esau some honor, recognizes him, recognizes his children, and so on. But this is obviously going well into maybe even to the children of Israel coming back into the land after the 400 years out in Egypt. And so Moses is writing this all out and filling it in. I looked up what is a duke, because I'm like, okay, these guys are dukes. What is a duke? Well, a duke is it's a male holding the highest hereditary title. So it's the highest title you can have in a family, which I thought was interesting because Esau lost his title because he sold his birthright to his brother over some pot, we figure a pot of chili of some kind. And then he lost his inheritance. It was stolen from him by Jacob. And so here he is giving these titles to his family members, trying to give them some kind of position. And it just kind of, it just kind of feels like it just falls on, well, this guy's a duke. And it's like, oh, you're a duke. What does that mean? Well, I have the highest position in my family, but so does my brothers. Like every single one of them, duke this person, duke. They all were dukes. Esau is the father of the Edomites. We saw that back there in verse 8. We also see it in Genesis 25, verse 30. It talks about it. His name is Esau, but he also gets known as Edom after he sells his birthright. Edom means red. So if they're Edomites, that means they would be the people of red. The people of red. Look in Numbers. I got three passages, 2 in Numbers and 1 in Deuteronomy. Numbers chapter 20. Numbers 20. We do hear about the Edomites later on. When Israel's trying to come back into the land, they end up confronting, they confront them about something. And so they are, God even tells them, hey, you guys are brothers, you're brethren. And so treat each other as such. Numbers 20, verse 14 says, "And Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom, saying, Thus saith thy brother Israel. Thou knowest all the travail that hath befallen us, how our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And when we cried unto the Lord, he heard our voice, and sent an angel, and hath brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of thy border. Let us pass, I pray thee, through thy country. We will not pass through the fields, or through the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand or to the left until we have passed thy borders. And Edom said unto him, Thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with the sword. And the children of Israel said unto him, We will go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of thy water, then I will pay for it. I will only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. And he said, Thou shalt not go through. And Edom came out against him with much people and with a strong hand. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through his border, wherefore Israel turned away from him. What are your first thoughts about? Anybody have any kind of initial thoughts about that? Here Israel saying, "Hey, let us pass through. We'll take the king's highway. We're not gonna go through your fields and trample everything. We're all gonna stay on one path. If our cattle gets drink, we'll pay you for it. Any provision we might need, we'll pay you. Let us just pass through." And Edom says, "No, not gonna let it happen." Anybody have any initial thoughts on that?
Kind of like they hated them then, like they do now.
Yeah. At first I'm like, man, that's kind of rude. But then as I'm reading it, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Jacob stole the inheritance of Esau. Then when Jacob comes back to the land, he tells his brother, yeah, you go on ahead, man. I'll meet you. I'll catch up to you. And goes the complete opposite direction. Like, Jacob never proved to Esau, you can trust me. You don't think maybe those stories were passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation? I mean, look at what they tell them. Let's not look at it in the eyes of Israel and be like, wow, look at the miracle that happened. Let's look at it in the eyes of Esau, who has been burned multiple times by his brother. All right? So I'm going to read just the part where they talk about, where is it? Verse 15. How our fathers have went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And when we cried unto the Lord, he heard our voice, and sent an angel, and hath brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of thy border. Let us pass through, I pray thee, through the country. We will not pass through the field. Sure you won't. Well, I've heard that one before. Or through the vineyards. Neither will we drink of the waters of the well. We will go by the king's highway. And then further on he goes, we will go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of thy water, then I will pay for it. Sure. I'm sure the ancestors of Esau are going, you're going to call me brethren now? Because, thy brother, thus saith thy brother Israel. Are you sure it's Israel or is it Jacob? He just doesn't trust him, and kind of rightfully so. He says, look, man, you're not passing through my land. I'm gonna get an army. And they don't make war with them, but they just stand out there in the front. They say, don't cross that line. You cross that line, you're going to start something. They go to chapter 24. Edom is mentioned. This is Balaam. Balaam, just had his experience with his donkey talking to him. And he's been told, God told him time and time again, don't go up there and prophesy. Don't go up there. Don't go up there. He doesn't listen, goes anyways. Even God can still use a disobedient prophet. In verse 16 says, he has said, which heard the words of God and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. Those are talking about Jesus Christ, which, FYI, this is the only place in Scripture that a star is mentioned. Somehow, when the wise men, they came to see Jesus, they had a portion of this Scripture somehow. I don't know exactly how, but a portion of the Scripture got all the way to the east, because this is the only place that Jesus is referred to as the Star of Jacob. And that's what they were looking for. They said, hey, we saw his star in the east. We've come to worship him.
Where are you?
Sorry. Numbers 24, verse 17.
You started in 15, don't you?
I started in 16. 16. Sorry about that. So this is prophetic. He's prophesying about Jesus Christ coming. It says there in the middle of verse 17, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheph. Well, Jesus Christ hasn't done that yet, so this is still future prophecy. He did come, but he's going to come again. So this is talking about millennial reign here. And look at verse 18. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. So here we get a prophecy of the millennial reign of Jesus Christ. And we find out that Israel is going to end up possessing Edom's land. Edom has that land that they have. It's just for a time. God gave them something, but in the end, Israel is going to end up possessing Esau's land at the end. Then go to Deuteronomy 23. Deuteronomy 23, verses 7 and 8, God gives a warning to Israel about the Edomites. Obviously, the Edomites wouldn't let them pass through the land, and Israel's trying to get on their way to go possess their promised land. So they, you could take a grudge, and those in the Middle East are good at doing that. As we have seen through the book of Genesis. Deuteronomy 23, verse 7 and 8 says, Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their third generation. So Israel is told, look, if an Edomite comes into your land, don't abhor them. Don't look down upon them. Don't disdain them. Treat them like a brother. And it's because they were brothers, and so they were to take care of them. And it says by the third generation, that third generation children would be allowed into the congregation, worshiping in the temple and whatnot. They would be considered part of Israel. And so God's just given Israel a warning, letting them know how to treat Esau's family. What do we get out of that? It's kind of sad to me. You had two brothers growing up, twin brothers, and in the end, they couldn't get along. I mean, their whole life, they couldn't get along. Neither one could swallow their pride and humble themselves to each other. And God even told them, look, you guys are going to be able to rule yourselves at some point in time, and yet they wanted that right now. And we end up getting two brothers that when they bury their dad, they never see each other again. Their families never come in contact again. The next time their families come in contact is 400 plus years later, when Israel's trying to come to the promised land and they're trying to get through. And you got Esau's descendants and Jacob's descendants, and Esau's descendants are like, nope, you guys are going around. We're not going to let you come through. All because of backbiting and bickering from way back when. And it's sad. It's not something that God wants. He wants families to get along. He wants us to be able to humble ourselves. And Sometimes we have to humble ourselves. It's hard to do. Don't get me wrong. It's hard to do. But sometimes we got to humble ourselves and just say, okay, yep, I'll I'll take the hurt and the blame and put myself under you, kind of a thing. So it just gives us a glimpse into brotherly relations. And then chapter 37 of Genesis, we see even more brotherly relations, except this is with Jacob's sons. So the sons of Jacob, we get to glimpse into their family relationships, all right, and how things are shaking up there. Look at Genesis 37, verse 1. It says, "And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him." The shift is beginning to change. The shift is going to come off of Jacob. We'll still see Jacob at times, but the shift now is and the focus starts to go on to Joseph. We'll see it here in this chapter. It'll change in chapter 38, and then it'll go back on him in chapter 39, and then pretty much the rest of the book is predominantly about Joseph. Joseph here is the favored son. He's 17 years old, a young man, helping dad, helping his brothers. Verse 2 here, he's out in the flocks, help feeding with his brethren, the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, the maids there. This would be, his brothers would be Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. So Joseph is with those 4 brothers. They're out feeding the flock, and it says that he brought to his father their evil report. I'll say this. I've heard different people say this at times, and I've even thought this at one point, but then I got thinking about this even more. Often people look at this and be like, yeah, Joseph was a tattler. Anybody ever hear that? Joseph just, he was a tattler. He told on his brothers to his dad. He's running to daddy. I've heard say, these different Bible characters have different character traits that are bad, and this was Joseph's, is that he tattled on people. Well, let's look at it here for a minute. He brought their evil report. A tattler is someone who, you're sitting there, we think of it with kids, all right? They're sitting there playing, and one kid accidentally hits the other kid's arm, and that one, oh, and he runs over, he hit me. Did he really mean it? Was he being, let me put it, was he being evil? No, he wasn't being evil. It was an accident, or whatever it may be. But this is not tattling. He brought to their dad their evil report. These guys are being wicked. They weren't being righteous. They weren't going, they weren't making mistakes. They were being evil. Looking. I have a note written here, and I did not look into it, so I'm testing this. I'm trusting a note that I've written from before. Let me see here, John. Yeah. John 7, Jesus is talking here. And Jesus says, he's talking to his disciples, "Then said Jesus unto them, My time is not yet come, but your time is always ready. The world cannot hate you, but it hateth me, because I testify of it, that the works thereof are evil." Jesus testifies of the world's works, which are evil works. Joseph is doing the same here. He's testifying of his brother's works, and they're evil works. And he's letting his dad know. Why would these guys hate that Joseph is doing this? Why would maybe Joseph feel the need to do this? Well, let's go back to, hey, how about Simeon and Levi going in and murdering a whole city of people and lying to a city of men, saying, "Oh, do this, and if you guys will circumcise yourselves, then we'll swap daughters and marry each other." And then when they're hurting, they go in and just murder a whole bunch of people. Distasteful, evil. And so it doesn't exactly say what these guys are doing, but they're doing some evil things, and Joseph is bringing this evil report to their dad, letting them know, hey, Dad, these guys they're not doing right. I could just hear Dan, Naphtali, and Gad, and Asher, oh, Joseph, you got to be a goody-goody. Well, you're a holy man, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, you're a Christian. Today's vernacular, right? You're holier. You're a holy guy, holier than thou. They trying to belittle him because he's trying to do what's right. But the fact of the matter is, they were evil men. They were doing evil deeds. They were not righteous. They weren't doing good. They weren't doing right. And as we'll see further in this chapter, these guys were not good men. They were bad. They were not good guys. They definitely had some things to learn here. Verse 3, Israel shows his favor to Joseph, and he gives Joseph this special coat, this coat of many colors. Dyes back then were very expensive to get a special dye. It wasn't cheap. I know purple is one of the most expensive dyes back during Bible times. It was normally reserved for royalty to wear something dyed in purple. Now we have cheap dyes, synthetic dyes that we can mass produce. And we all get to enjoy the different colors of clothing that we want to wear. And so, but Joseph here, he gets this special coat of many colors. And it says that his brothers hated him. Look there at the end of verse 4. It says they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. And it wasn't because of what Joseph did per se, but it says when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren. So they hated Joseph not because of Joseph, but because of how Dad treated Joseph. Dad favored Joseph, and of course Joseph is the oldest son of Jacob's favorite wife. Rachel, at this point, she's long passed away. She's dead. She's no longer with them. And so Joseph and Benjamin are the last memories that Jacob has of Rachel. My guess is Joseph probably reminds Jacob a lot of Rachel. He may have some more of her characteristics, maybe more of her facial features. Maybe there were some things that how she acted that Joseph acts. And so, man, he just really reminds him of Rachel. And so Joseph is just his favorite son. And so all the other brothers hate him because of that. Not anything Joseph could have done, but that's just how it is. Then we see Joseph has some dreams here. They're very prophetic dreams. Look at verses 5 through 11. It says, and Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we are binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said unto him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. Interesting that Joseph comes to them about a dream that he had, and they fulfill them. They tell him what it means. Joseph just told them, hey, I had this dream. We all were in the field, we're binding sheaves, and my sheaf stood upright, and then your guys' sheaves bowed down to my sheaf. Interesting. That's all he said. And they all went, oh, you think we're going to bow down to you, man? Yeah, they hate him even more so for it, because of his dream that he had. Like, Joseph's just giving them the facts of, hey, man, I had this dream. I don't know what it means, but this is the dream that I had. He had to have. Who knows? I think the second one most definitely. We'll get to the second one here in a minute, but it's like this maybe he's this is possible. He's a little bit out of giving a little dig to his brothers. I don't know. We don't know his attitude behind it. God doesn't give us a glimpse into that. Just gives us the facts. He tells his brothers, and his brothers hate him even more.
I read him as a person very innocent and pure, and he was excited about what God was going to do through him.
Yeah.
And he didn't even think about how jealous his brothers were, because He didn't have a heart like that.
Yeah. He's 17 years old. We know he's a good kid. He doesn't want to have any part of their evil that they're, think about it. Here he is. He's the only one he's got 4 other brothers. They're out taking care of the sheep. And he's the only one that's like, I'm not doing that evil that you guys are doing. That's hard to do. That's not an easy thing to stand up to especially you have family members. Come on, Joseph, what do you too good for this? You don't want to take part in this? And he's like, no, I'm not going to take part in that. So he's a good kid.
He's a type of the Christian today when we're truly excited about God and what God's doing, and the world thinks we're crazy. We're a bunch of lunatics, and we're the evil ones,
In light of what you're saying, and then with what you're saying, Brother Carl, there's times that we have to go out and we've got to be a testimony to somebody, and we know that they might get mad about it, but we still do it anyways. Like I don't know, Joseph may have known his brothers would get mad, but he's just like, look, man, this is what happened.
He may have been told in a dream to share it with his brother.
Yeah. I know I've gone up to a door and the person walked in, as soon as they open the door, I'm like, oh man, they are not happy. But I'm going to try to give them a word of testimony if they'll let me. And I start trying to give them the, hey, we're from whatever church I'm with, and we're trying to let people know about Jesus, and I don't want to hear it. Okay, have a nice day. It just, who knows? His second one is interesting. It says, and he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. That last part, his father observed the saying, I always kind of liken that, for me at least, I always liken that to Mary when she saw Jesus in the temple. And says she hid those things in her heart. I feel like they both they had similar reactions when they heard this. They're just kind of like I could see Jacob here. Jacob's kind of getting upset with him, like, what are you talking about? I'm going to bow down to you. But then he's just like, whoa, wait a minute. He's thinking about this, going, what's God going to do with this kid? Why is God telling him this? And he just kind of kept it there. Throw this out to you. I mean, it's a prophetic dream. Maybe we shouldn't read too much into everything, but who's the moon?
His mother.
Okay, where's his mother, though?
I can't figure out if maybe he had that before she died, if he had the dream before then.
I don't think so. I think she's gone by now. I mean, they've been in the land for a while. He's 17 years old. She's passed on. Nobody ever, and here's the thing, nobody bows down to him here.
Now, didn't she pass away after Benjamin?
At Benjamin's birth.
So, but when he's off in Egypt, he doesn't know that Benjamin's been born.
Yeah, he does.
So,
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah, he knows about Benjamin.
I didn't think he'd ever seen him.
Yeah, no, he saw Benjamin. He knew who Benjamin was.
Yeah.
So the other, I saw something. Someone said, "Well, what if it's Leah?" Well, then the issue you have there is Leah never makes it to Egypt. Leah dies before the whole family moves to Egypt. So.
Sometime between when he sold in Egypt
And then the other thing is, you look at Scripture, nowhere do we see Jacob actually bowing down to Joseph. If you go through the rest of Genesis, Jacob never actually bows down to him. So I don't know, it's interesting. God's just trying to prophesy that show Joseph, show his family. I think one thing for sure we can see from this is all of Jacob's family is going to be under Joseph. Because when they all come into the land, who are they looking to? They're not looking to Jacob for advice and what to do. Every single one of them, even Jacob, is looking to Joseph going, what do we do? We're in your hands. We're under you. What do you want us to do? And Joseph, at that point, he is the head of the family. And all of the family is kind of put in his care, and he takes care of them and provides, literally provides for them, gives them land, gives them a place to be, and even gives them a job. They end up taking care of Pharaoh's cattle as well. So, they just get riches abundant there. His brothers, obviously, they hear this one, they envy him even more. They're done with Joseph. They're ready to be done with him. And look there, let's look in verses 12 here. It says, and his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem. Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I. And he said to him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy flock, and well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. He's just going, and he's like, man, I'm here, but I don't see nothing. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. Joseph's a good kid, obeys his dad, even to the point of he goes above and beyond. Dad said, go here and find out how they're doing. He goes there, they're not there. What could Joseph have done at that point? He could have gone right back home and said, Dad, I went there and I couldn't find them. I don't know where they went. He obeyed his father. He went to the place he was supposed to go and didn't find him. But instead, he knew what his dad wanted. He wanted to hear how his brothers were doing. So he went above and beyond and said, well, I heard they're over here. I'm going to keep going that direction, and maybe I can get some word from them and take it back to Dad. Verse 18 says, and when they saw him, his brethren, afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit, and we will say some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands to deliver him to his father again. So as Joseph is coming, his 9 brothers, they see him at a distance. And they're ready to just kill him. And the reason they want to kill him is they say, hey, if we kill him, let's see what happens to those dreams that he's dreaming about. That's why they want to kill him, because the dreams of them having to bow down and give him obeisance, they don't want to do that. And so they're like, well, hey, let's kill him and we'll see, we'll see what happens with those dreams. Reuben intervenes. He hears what they're doing, and, the other 8 are conspiring. Reuben says, hey, let's not kill him. Let's not shed his blood. This is our brother. And his whole thing is he's hoping to, we'll put Joseph in a pit, and he's hoping to come back later, get Joseph out. And he wants to look like the big hero in front of Dad's eyes. Remember, Reuben committed adultery with Bilhah, Jacob's wife, and so he is out of the good graces of Dad. He and Dad are at conflict one with another, and so he's hoping to, well, man, if I make this heroic act and I rescue Joseph from the other 8 brothers, maybe I'll get back into the good graces of Dad because of the wicked thing that I did with Bilhah. Look there in verse 23. The other 8 brothers had come up with a plan B here. It says, and it came to pass when Joseph was come unto his brothers, 9 brothers. Reuben would be the 10th. 9 brothers. It came to pass when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. And they took him and cast him into a pit, And the pit was empty, and there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked. And behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, What profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. So plan B. Well, hey, let's make some money. Let's make a profit on our little brother. We'll get 20 pieces of silver. There's 10 of us, 2 pieces of silver apiece. That sounds like a pretty good deal. Reuben isn't there to stop it. And so the brothers go ahead. They take the coat of many colors off of Joseph so he doesn't look like royalty to anybody. As I was studying this, I could just imagine, here's Joseph just screaming at his brothers, screaming their name. And they're just falling on deaf ears. Go ahead. Take them. Collect their money. Reuben comes back, verse 29 says, And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. And he returned unto his brethren and said, The child is not, and whither shall I go? He's thinking, you guys killed him. I can't believe you did that. You killed Joseph. And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, This have we found. Know how whether it be thy son's coat or not. No. And he knew it and said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast hath devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his loins and mourned after his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him. But he refused to be comforted and said, For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. What kind of hard-hearted person do you have to be to lie to your family member like this? I mean, they see the anguish that their dad is going through, and not one of these sons steps up and says, Dad, I got a confession to make. They're just rubbing their 2 coins in their pocket, going, well, at least I got rich off of it. Maybe Dad will forget about Joseph one of these days and we can move on. Wow. Sad day here. Sad day for the Israel family and the loss of Joseph, and just seeing how these 10 brothers, just the hatred they have for their little brother. I would probably assume that they don't quite like each other too much the greatest either, but the friend of my friend, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We all have a common enemy. We all hate Joseph, so we're all going to get along to try to get rid of Joseph. This family's a mess. It's a mess. And it's, I look at it and I go, man, it's a warning for me. I got 2 boys, and it just, it starts with Dad. Jacob was not doing right for many, many years, and all the sons saw it. And so Dad was a horrible example to them as to how to be a man, and here's the outcome of it. I mean, they see Dad's conflict with his brother. They see Dad's conflict with their grandpa. They see how everything's just going on. They see how Dad plays favorites with the 4 wives, and Dad's now playing favorites with the siblings. And it's causing a mess. And poor Joseph is stuck in the middle of it, and thankfully he still has his life, but he is headed down to Egypt. We know, if you're familiar with the book of Genesis, you know what happens to Joseph, but put yourself in his shoes right now. Your brothers just sold you into slavery. You see them get money for you. You're bound captive. You should be royalty. You're the favored son. You were just doing your job. You were just being obedient to Dad. How'd you get in this mess? How did we get here? I was just obeying Dad, trying to find out how my brothers are doing, and now I'm trotting down to Egypt to be sold on the slavery auction block. Nothing I can do. Pretty sad state for him. And sad state for the family of Israel. Anybody have any questions or comments on that those two chapters?
And they took his coat away from him.
Yeah, stripped it from him, dipped it in blood. One thing I thought, wow, that's interesting. They said, Dad, an evil beast has devoured him. How often do we hear of an animal devouring a human? You hear of them like mauling them or killing them, but I'm not saying it can't happen, but I feel like the chances, the opportunity of it happening, I understand during that time, that would have been a very desolate area. There was a lot of wilderness, so there's still some wild animals roaming. But it's just interesting that they chose those words, and obviously so that Dad wouldn't go looking for a body. They're saying, look, this is all we found, Dad. And to the point that how many animals actually eat everything, like bones and all? They brought nothing home but a coat for Dad. I mean, that right there, to me, it's like, wow, that should have been read. But Dad is in such grief. He's not thinking, where are the bones? Where's the body? He's just in such grief. And really, he's sitting there, yeah, his sons may have done some evil deeds, but he thinks them better than the fact that they would lie to him and say, your favorite son is dead. He can't imagine that they would lie about that. I mean, it's just impossible. And so he's hurting because of what they did. Yep.
Don't you think a lot of parents know when their kids are lying? I know I always had an instinct that would tell me, it's just not the truth.
Yes and no. They learned from the best. Yeah, remember, Jacob. Jacob was a deceiver. He was a conniver. He was the best of the best. His sons they watched Dad and they're like, oh, that's how you do it? Okay. I mean, you're telling me Jacob didn't have other business dealings where he was underhanded and tried to deceive people? I mean, if he would do it to his own brother, he's going to do it to somebody he doesn't even know off the street easily.
His own father.
Yeah. He did it to his dad. He did it to his brother.
Is it true that every time he referred to Jacob as Israel, he's in God's will and he's trying to do right?
That's the impression. Yeah, and if you look at that chapter, you see Israel, Israel, Israel. And I think at the very end, it says Jacob again. I believe that to be the case. It's
rent his clothes. He let his name get the best of him. Became Jacob again.
Yeah, because this whole time, God refers to him as Israel, 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 Israel. And then here at the end, it says, and Jacob rents his clothes. So often it's considered that when God refers to him as Israel, he's doing right. He's trying to please God. When he's referred to as Jacob, he's going back to the old man. And so something, I don't know, but something switches here. That he's kind of reverting back to being the old man. And one is he's not trusting in God. Jacob is saying that my happiness, my joy, my life's fulfillment is based off of my son, not on my God. And he's telling God, I don't care what else you have for me, God. You just took away the one thing that meant the world to me. And it wasn't you. It was something else. So that's where what Brother Carl was saying, I think that's where you get that, okay, God's like, all right, you're not doing right again. So I'm going to call you and refer to you as Jacob instead of Israel. Anything else?
It seems like you almost stopped talking to God anymore. Jacob.
We don't, it sort of looks like, because we don't hear from him again. And the next time we see Jacob, it's at least 20 years, roughly. I think it's 15, 20 years later. And he's still acting like Joseph just died yesterday. He doesn't care about anything. else. He cares a little bit about Benjamin, but then we see how he's treating Benjamin. Oh my word, he's smothering Benjamin to death. You know, here Joseph, he sent him off to go look for his brothers, but Benjamin, he can't do anything, because what if Benjamin dies? You know, oh my goodness. So Benjamin's not even able to live a life because he's afraid that something might happen to him. So Jacob definitely is kind of, he maybe just have some bitterness with God at this point. That's a good possibility. We don't see much of him doing anything. So he may be getting mad at God just because, well, you took my favorite wife, now you take my favorite son. What are you doing to me, God? That's a possibility.
If nothing else, God gives us peace when we're going through something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
let's say it were true, that still gives us a peace.
Yep. But we gotta put our trust in him.
You gotta come to the realization that you are away from God.
Yeah. So it's yeah. If we're gonna have a relationship with him, we gotta realize he's our all. He's our everything, and we need him more than anyone else. And at this point, Jacob is he's telling God, I need my son more than I need you. All right, let's take our prayer list.